Alright everybody, hope you enjoy the upcoming video. A little disclaimer, I have small kids, which means finding a quiet place to make a video is very, very difficult. So I am sort of semi-outside in a shady spot, and so you may hear things like birds or airplanes flying over. But just know that this is probably the calmest, quietest place in my house at the moment. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a minute or a few minutes to put together a video about the new K-Series Render K from Kustoms. I have the pleasure of living about a block or two away from these guys, and so I get to stop in and see all the cool things happening in the shop. And so I've been able to play with one of the new K-Series, so I guess you could call it version 2 of the Render K, which is more of like a modular system. But first, what I thought we might do, as you can see, there's a ton of parts here, okay? And I kind of intentionally maybe put the chaos right out in the open. I know it seems chaotic, but then once you see it put together, it's a little bit easier to manage as far as like what all the little parts and pieces are and why it's cool to have each of the different ones. Okay, so what I wanted to do first is just kind of do a little intro with what does the existing Render K look like, right? And so I'm going to have to zoom in and out here every once in a while. So the current Render K situation, this is one of their, it's called bar stock Render Ks. It's a, where they took kind of the machined finish, or you know, the just raw aluminum that they start with, and they made just a functional pen out of it. Really cool, super kind of industrial. One of my favorites, actually. It's like one I don't mind, you know, tossing in a bag or a pocket with keys and it's getting scratched. So the original Render K, the barrel kind of goes into this like solid section here, and then to get the refill out, you actually take this little tip off, right? And then inside there's a spring and your refill and stuff. Works pretty well. There was like multiple different variations that you would have to buy to actually make this work. So if I wanted, say, like a High-Tech C, or I wanted a Parker style, or I wanted a Pilot G2, like I'd have to buy different versions of the pen, right? So this was all separate. All right, so the new version, just to set that one aside now, what you actually buy is you buy a barrel, right? So this is kind of the end of the Render K barrel, and then there's different pieces and parts that come with it once you decide what you want to do. Okay, so there's also, this is kind of cool, I got my hands on one of these new ones that are coming out. It's called phenolic, so it's kind of like a fiberglass micarta material, pretty neat. This one is the tumbled aluminum, so pretty neat, kind of rugged looking. So the add-ons that you get, that you can buy with the new K-Series, is you have your grip section, which is kind of like your standard. You might even have a person say hi to me right now, like some out front. You have the fountain pen section, and that's pretty much it. So as far as kind of like the add-ons, so these kind of thread on, right? What's different about the old Render K versus this one is these different parts now thread on to the barrel, right? So if I wanted a fountain pen, right? So anyway, it works all the same, like it's all the same parts. So pretty cool. So you're able to kind of mix and match stuff. So now there's all these little additional bits and bobs, right? So like if I want to load like a Pilot G2 in the pen, like how do I do that, right? Because if I put this in there, right? If I just throw that standard in there and then I try and put this on, well, it's not long enough, right? So, but if I put in the converter with the fountain pen, right? It's like the perfect length for it. Because if I anyway, so it fits that. So without any additional add-ins or whatever, it's meant to take standard the fountain pen, right? So what they have is they have this little plug dealio, right? It's machined. It's got a little rubber grommet on it, and then included you get this red, I'm trying to get it focused here, red tool, or like metal tool with a little red end. And then what you can do is this, let's see if I can get that in there. This threads into, actually just kidding, it goes into the other side. This then pushes into the barrel all the way down, and since it had a grommet, or a rubber washer, it sticks to the sides pretty good. And then now when we pop in the G2 refill, throw the spring on top. Let's see. Oh, trying to like watch what I'm doing through the lens here. Okay, so then you have where the tip of the G2 now fits appropriately because of that little spacer, right? Pretty cool, right? So now the other thing is a lot of people like the Schmidt P8126, right? Also referred to as the capless. This is often known in the Retro 51 Tornado as a super good refill. Same problem though, right? If we were to put this in, you can tell, right? This is now too short. So even though we have that one spacer in there, it's not long enough to accommodate the P8126. So there's this little black piece here, little spacer. This probably is very common if you have other Keras pens. You've likely gotten, if you have more than one Keras pen, you probably have a half a dozen of these just kicking around. But this then gets dropped in on top of that other spacer, and then you can put the P8126, and then there's a smaller spring. Okay. Right. And now you have the P8126 in there. Also synonymous with that one, you can do a standard Parker style refill. So like your kind of Pentel, or the what's it called, Easy Flow, Schmidt Easy Flow, because that is pretty much the same size as the P8126. Oh, I forgot the spring. That's why I was acting weird. So anyway, those are interchangeable. But yeah, so it's kind of a big difference, you know, as far as having all these like other little pieces to kind of go with everything. Can seem a little bit unruly, but you know, I mean, there's lots of kind of variations and parts that you can do. So like this phenolic one, like, anyway, what's cool about it is that all these parts are very like interchangeable, and you don't have to buy new pens every time you want to get, say, a fountain pen, or, you know, I just have to buy this one section in the various different types that they sell. So, okay, so now this little tool again, like if I wanted to switch to the fountain pen with a converter, what I would need to do is go down into here and find the hole. See, I'm like doing this as you guys are watching me do this here, so I'm learning. So you just kind of thread that in, and that little spacer pops out, and then I'd be able to shift it back to the fountain pen if I want to. So all right, well, that is I guess the new Render K, the Fountain K series. Pretty cool. I think it's really kind of ingenious the way that these guys have put this stuff together. It's a variation, definitely a big difference based on like what they did before. It makes it a little more consumer friendly. I'm sure from a manufacturing standpoint, instead of having to machine all different barrel sizes and all different section sizes and stuff, like, it's just going to make it way more efficient for those guys. But all right, hope you enjoyed that, and hope you enjoyed the sweet sound of birds chirping.